Hello, everyone. Nate Smith here today with Alex Walcott and Charlie Grieg. We're here to talk about the EVER.V project on the TSX Venture. A little bit about we'll call it the pre-season kickoff, and then just to touch on some of the questions I have going into this year's season, as well as just some follow-up questions on the project. So thanks guys for joining me here today.
Hey, you're welcome.
So pleased to be here.
Right on. Yeah, I'll bring up my screen here. I've taken some slide shots. I'll just bring it up. Let me know when you guys can see that.
There you go.
Oh, right on. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So first things first, Brownfield Adventures. We're revisiting the Golden Lion target here is the focus of this year, is my understanding. So out the gate here, let's acknowledge some of the success that you had. I mean, you guys just closed a private placement there. It was upsized, so that's showing some strong demand. And our friend Tom Woolrich there from Deutsche Rohstoff has also confirmed on the register there. So right on, guys. Where did that upsize come from? Is that a single source, or was that multiple sources just stretching out the upsizing?
I think it's mainly friends and family kind of thing. Not family, but friends, and and then a variety of folks, some of whom are tied into some of the ore group companies. So we done work with American Eagle Gold and Metal Energy, of course. So those kind of folks and a few others, some of whom we don't really know, but they knew us.
That's great. Yeah, sorry, Alex, do you have anything to add to that, or?
Yeah, no, it was just kind of a last minute thing, just to get a few extra bucks in the door. Unfortunately, we didn't quite make our target at 6 million, but that's also to do the world politics. I think kind of skunked us a bit when we did that. So, but we actually still managed to raise a fairly decent number. So we're pretty happy with all the support from the ore group guys and basically much of the people that helped out, and yourself also.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the timing was just as things were getting hot and heavy there in the Middle East again. So I can understand there maybe some headwinds were encountered. But regardless, still landing that success there over the 5 million. So hats off to you guys. Okay, so let's talk starting time. Are we still looking at that mid-June, or are we talking early July? What's it looking like?
I think mid-June is the target. A lot of people saying heavy snow year up there, but I know firsthand that once it starts melting, it goes pretty quick too. So we're still targeting that, but let's see what shakes out.
Okay, and similar question I have usually with most here for kickoff in this area. What's kind of like the hard season end? Is it around the snow that flies in October, November, or could you guys foreseeably push this further?
Yeah, I think you want to be looking to be out of there in October sometime.
Yeah, okay.
I'm a more believer of September, so it gets pretty dicey once you start sitting on the ground more and you're working. Then you basically want to exit stage right. She gives you two chances, Mother Nature. She'll do the first snowfall, and that's your warning, and the second snowfall is kind of telling you missed out.
Yeah, I mean, okay. you can get snow in the middle of summer there though, so you got to be a little bit lenient. I would say the latest you want to be out there really is out of there is mid-October.
Okay, so let's do some shout out to the team members involved this year. So who is managing the day-to-day operational sites? What's their cross shift? Who's representing that activity set?
Well, the GO's on it. The project manager is Taylor Quinn, and Tay's worked with me here, CJ Grieg and Associates, for 10 years now. So know him well. He did his master's on Golden Lion, just recently defended successfully. So shout out to Tay. He did a lot of work, did a very, very nice job, but also is just a really great guy in the field. He's actually out on a field mapping project, geological mapping project at the moment in central BC. Come back, he'll have a good little break, and then back to the homeland kind of thing for him. And then his cross chef is another guy that's worked for us for a while, maybe 4 years, I think, since he first graduated from UBCO. Very capable guy. His name is Liam Groenewegen, LG as we call him, the fridge. He's not fridge size, but he's from London, Ontario area. Basically, from the outskirts of London. So you could call him a farm boy, very capable guy like Taylor, these guys can wrench a wrench and hammer a nail and keep things going, but they also have the geological skill set. So Liam's been working on American Eagle Gold's NAC project with us. He's up there right now, getting some other people started, some newbies started up there, and then he's going to come up and work with Tay for the summer.
Yeah, it's great that you called out the work there that Taylor's done. Is that master of paper available for distribution, or is that something that can be posted on the website for review at a later date?
Yeah, I would think. I don't. I think he's. Yeah, I think he's probably submitted the final version. I don't know when the university makes it public, but I will connect you with Taylor if you're interested, and I'm sure he would make that available.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great. Okay. Okay, let's get into like the nuts and bolts of the camp facility. So I've got on the screen here one of the slide shots. Can you guys point out where roughly that camp will be set up this year? And do you guys have that all locked in? Good camp cook, good grub makes a good day, right? So where's that landing?
I'll let you take that one, Alex. I don't know if you can enlarge it a bit there. Can you?
I can zoom in.
Yeah. All right. You see with the claims, it pretty well where the Golden Lion points to. That's pretty well where the camp's going to be. We're going to have our staging area just back here in just off of Cephas here, off the main access road. And we're basically going to have like a 20,000 liter tank going in there. And basically, then that'll be our staging area. We have a good company lined up for the helicopter company. We got Rugged Edge going in for the camp building. So they're good guys. We worked with all the companies we've worked for. We've worked with lots in the past, so we know what we're getting. And pretty excited about that. Like the Rugged Edge guys are hopefully, depending on the snowpack, we're going to try to do some flyovers probably in the next week or so to see what's happening up there for snow, just so we don't go in blind. And one of the Rugged Edge guys is up there right now, right around here at another camp, setting that up. So they're good to go.
Okay, yeah. So mobilization preliminary work has begun already, and you guys have a plan in there in place. That's great. And then who's the drill contractor here selected this year?
It's going to be a group called Carrier Drilling, and basically they're out of Fort St. James. Are actually somewhat partially First Nations. So the actual guy that owns it, Devlin Luck, will be doing it, and his brother will be Jordan Luck will be flying for us. So the Luck family is basically they've been in Fort St. James probably for the last 100 years. It's like Jordan's like fourth generation bush pilot, so they're kind of an interesting family actually.
That's great. Okay, and then who's actioning the field work this year from a geophysics perspective first here? Who's been contracted out for that, or has that been locked in?
It's not. We're kind of just going to evaluate how we make out with the drilling to start with, and that's going to be the dominant focus. We're going to basically, it's not a big geophysics program. If anything, it'll be like 2 or 3 lines of IP. So we're just going to get squeezed in when we can, if we have it. So we have a fairly good access to geophysical crews if we need be. I know a guy.
And so that'll be localized around the GL1 target. What about for geophysics work and geochem work up in the north there around the potential copper prospects?
Pardon me. We probably won't do too much around the GL1. We might do some drone mag, but most of the stuff is going to be for the IP. It'll probably be up in the copper prospects, but we want to find that. And we are also going to fly mobile MT throughout the property. So we're going to have a property-wide mobile MT survey carried out.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. All right. Well, switching gears here to talk a little bit about, actually I had another slide there just to highlight the 2 target areas, right? So yeah, the north target area there for copper prospects around Claw and Copper King. Is there any other additional in that area, or is it just largely just a field season over this entire area?
I mean, that area, is the way I look at it. It actually, that perspective view really, makes it look like it's a small area, but it's actually, very large and quite a bit bigger than the southern area that's highlighted by the resistivity, the bright colors in the resistivity plot that's overlaid there. But there's lots to target, and it's very much brownfields. It's kind of driven by historical or compilation of the historical streamset data. There was a little bit of drilling in the 70s that we don't have a great record of, but shows good copper hits in these holes right up on the ridge top there. But we know it's a nice copper target just from the streamset geochem, and so that's going to start by us taking a broad view, whether that's geophysically, validating the streamsets, doing some follow-up recce geology, that kind of thing on the north. A big target. And more.
And what's what's the sequence of timing for this? Is that going to happen early season, or is that going to happen mid-season during drilling or after drilling? How does that
I
look?
think that's kind of concurrent, I would say, when we take our first look. I mean, we'll probably initiate that with the the airborne geophysics will probably happen before anything. It might even happen, I think, prior to us arriving, in camp, right? Because we're going to kind of tag team with some other folks up there. Isn't that right, Alex?
Yep. So that could be, we'll probably have the geophysics done by probably, I would say, first week of June here.
Okay.
Yeah, the airborne stuff.
Airborne. Yeah.
Right. And is that going to play into drive like your localized priority areas that you're going to focus for the initial field work at the gate?
It's definitely going to help with that. Yeah. We're just going to see what we have for anything major structures, feeder zones, potential large resistivity features. We're going to do mobile MT as we talked about. So that's going to basically cover, going to give us connectivity and magnetics. I mean, the magnetics won't be as high resolution as we'd like, but it's a starting point, and we can always do detailed magnetics if required.
Right. And then later season, look at doing the IP work on the ground concurrently with the geochem work. Yeah.
If it warrants it. Yeah.
Okay. So. Okay, great. All right. Well, let's get into the planned drilling here. So we're talking 4,000 meters across 12 holes, and that's all going to be focused on the GL1 target, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a trend that's approximately greater than 1.5 kilometers, correct?
Yep, probably maybe 2 kilometers. But that whole contact's pretty well perspective there.
Right. Okay. Well, I guess I can prompt you here, Alex. Do you have the 3D model that you had done up previously showing the structure with also the overlay of the planned target holes this year? Have you developed that?
Yep, I can just fire that up quickly here. Let me just give a second to share my screen.
Right, I'll knock mine down.
Just gonna make sure I get the right one. All right.
That's great. Yeah, that's it now.
Okay, so we'll zoom out here. I'm just going to change the drill hole colors here just so we can kind of stand out a bit more. Make them this black here. Now let's make them a little thicker here. So, I mean, here's basically the resistivity feature we are seeing in the map here. So this contact is really what we want to be following up down here. So the proposed holes are in black here. So we'll just kind of zoom in, and I'm just going to turn off the geophysics for the time being. You can see this trend coming through there. But if we actually kind of just see where we're going to sit, and now they're a parable color. So let's change those again to white. We're just going to come in here. And this is basically the holes 23, 24, 25. These holes here, that was that fence of holes we've been talking about. So as you can see here.
Those were the last holes drilled in 2021. Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're just going to come in behind it and basically fill these gaps here in the fences. I mean, as you can see, our orientation of our drilling is quite a bit, and this hole is quite a bit further back than the previous drilling. And same with these holes here. There's nothing that really tests beyond this contact here. And I think that's where the joy is. Because if you actually look where how the things line up, you can tie these. These are all probably up dip. You can see in here. And then basically this hole, probably this intercept here, this vertical intercept probably ties to here. And this comes back here. So we really want to get back into the structure a lot further, which is why we're kind of targeting. We only have 9 holes laid out here because we just want to have some optionality of what we can do with the other last few holes and basically probably move around a bit. But generally speaking, this will probably be the first ones will probably be kind of coming into here, this area here, and followed by here and here.
And I think one of the things to really point out here is that, it was kind of a northeasterly dipping structure that was drilled with, a lot of holes that actually were dipping to the northeast. So drilling kind of down a structure and a system, which was really a broad, low-grade halo that hosts some higher-grade intercepts. And so if you're drilling to the northeast down that structure, you're probably going to be carrying down, lower grades and missing some of the high grades. So you really want to drill across that thing. It looks like it dips to the northeast. So you really want to drill to the southwest across it. And many of the holes did not do that. So we're just going to go in there with that. We feel is a much better understanding that is kind of validated by those last 3 holes in 2021. Which had some nice intercepts with both high grade and within a lower grade envelope. So we'll drill across that thing, and that's kind of the initial plan.
That's great. Yeah. So clarification questions I have. What's the approximate step out between each of those right now? Is that?
Well, I think Yeah, I'm not sure how far it is, but the idea on a gold system, you can lose a gold system very quickly. You want to stay on it. So we're going to start with something a little less, and as we gain a better understanding, the step outs could increase. And again, if we do some of that geophysics that Alex has mentioned, it's small scale, but we started doing some of that in 2020 and 2021. Maybe a little bit more detailed mag. It'll give us a better handle on where that structure is going, because really it's a big, it's sort of a scree slope coming down from the northeast to the southwest without great geological exposure. So, we're learning the geology as we drill and linking that to the geophysics. You can kind of see that in this image.
Yeah, perfect. And then, sorry, of the 1.5 kilometer trend, what will the step out stretch us out along that trend total with the planned holes to date?
We're probably going to be, we're probably just focusing in here is probably only going to be about 200 something meters. Like the step outs are 50 meters across here. And then basically if we get hits, the idea of basically saying, okay, can we propagate this down and can we come back further over and go either way? Probably moving to the southeast would be the kind of the obvious choice, but we don't know what's going to go on here.
Okay. And then what's it's a set of fan holes. So what's the deepest that you're looking at targeting it this year that's planned so far?
Probably about 300 meters, actually. Not hugely deep holes.
Yeah, our deepest hole, on that one fan we drilled I think it was only 250 meters below surface. Not really super deep.
Okay. And so will that consume all of the 4,000 meters planned, or what is there plans to scale the program up if available? And what would trigger, where would the balance go? Would be to further step out along the strike, or would it be, say, if you fell into a hot spot there, focus some more testing that at down dip? Have you guys discussed that internally about what would cause a pivot?
I think we're kind of open to it. I mean, if we get the numbers, we were going to test this hypothesis. It seems pretty damn solid. We got lots of good info there from the Newmont 84 drilling and from our drilling previously in 2020 and 2021. So it kind of depends what we hit. Really is what it comes down to, and I think we're pretty hopeful. And then we take off from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, we aren't going to get too crazy. I mean, we're going to try to keep this systematic and not veer too much. We aren't going to sit there and wildcat it. We have a plan in place. We're going to kind of run with that plan. And then basically that's why we only basically allocated about 9 holes here. And then we have probably another 5 holes we can use elsewhere.
Okay. Yeah, no, that answers the question. So yeah, there is room for expansion on what you guys have planned here with the budget that you have planned for it. Will that, if you have the additional holes there, will that consume the remaining of the budget for the season, or do you have more flexibility as well to expand it more this year?
We have
a little bit of flexibility, not huge, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's into the plan. So let's talk a little bit of the rocks. You guys have touched on some of the work that was done in 2021, and there was originally some planning in 2022. But with the pause on this project, is the plan just to pick up and go where you were at in 2022, or what further work or data crunch that you guys have done have gleaned or changed the approach that you're taking this year's season? Is there a fundamental shift in the philosophy of approaching this project since 2022 that has been developed?
I wouldn't say on this. I think the obvious thing was to go in 2022. We just, with COVID, etc., we didn't have the funds to go up and drill as much as we plan on drilling this year. Again, it was. The access is a little bit better now. We can get a little closer for getting in there. But yeah, the plan was pretty much in place for the drilling of this. The other thing that's changed here, I think, is the copper story on the north. That's changed a bit. We didn't have those inlier claims that we now have up in the northern part of the property at that point in time. So we didn't really have any plan to do that back then, but I don't think the drilling plan was much different. Those last 3 holes were good holes. We wanted to go back, but we just didn't have enough cash in the can to execute.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we actually sat down and looked at the data a little more too, and basically kind of battened around a bit, maybe a little more on geophysical modeling on it. But I mean, the general, like I said, Charlie says, the general plan hasn't changed. I mean, it's pretty kind of obvious what you want to do here, and I think we're going to keep just systematically step it out.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. You're right. I mean, you yourself looked at the geophysics a little more closely, and even at the end of that program, as we were flying out, I think the unit with the mag, we were going to fly some detailed airborne mag, and we didn't get that. We'll probably pick that up this season at some stage. But yeah, you're right. We sort of have a bit more of it modeled, but it was like, okay, those last 3 holes are good. Let's follow that up. What happened here? Yeah.
If it works, don't fix. If it's not broken, don't fix it. So it's kind of go with the kiss goes one.
Yeah. Okay, and then you brought up the important dimension that, the inline claims in the north is really what's unlocking your guys' ability to now go up and further explore that area. Let's talk about a reasonable timeline for drilling up there. Say there is a sequence of targets there that are developed. Like arguably next year it could be in place. Is there any other barriers to exploring this zone?
If we could develop suitable targets, we'd just be just permitting really, and basically revisiting all the permitting and basically getting an air-based permit up there, which could take some time. But if we have a target and we can start on it by the end of the summer, the permitting, we should be able to get permit in hand by the following season.
Okay. All right. Well, say we have some success in 2026, right? Now this is forward looking, and I can appreciate that some of this could be discounted if something radically changes. But say we have success at GL1. With the intent to come back and further stretch that out around the up to the 1.5 or greater along that strike, is that in the cards?
It's exploration, so anything's in the cards.
Yeah, I would, it's a gold system. It's not a porphyry kind of system. So, sticking to those things in general, sticking to the known, I would, tend to be a bit more conservative with something like that. Stay on it. Dusters have a tendency to help junior companies blow their brains out, right? And we don't want to drill too many of those. So, I think it's better to do that and just walk it out and get that understanding. And yeah, it can go all the way along strike. Like if you go along strike and look at things like silver, there's some things where there's some amazing silver numbers that don't totally line up. How does that all fit in? As we gain an understanding in link geology and geophysics, which they work very well hand in hand once you understand everything. The geophysics follows the geology and vice versa. And you can see on that left hand side of Alex's image there's a lot of nice numbers, but there's some out beyond that, in drill holes and in surface samples and in the geochemistry. Yeah, there you go. There's sniffs out there, and were they just a little bit farther off or what? It's some very interesting stuff to work out. And it's reasonably good exposure in places up in the Toodoggone, but other places not very well exposed at all, and that includes a long strike and on this target.
Yeah, and a lot of these things. I mean, gold systems, like say, Charlie's saying, they aren't that easy, and you basically once you're on them, you stay on them until you lose them.
Okay, so yeah, priority around the Golden Line 1, GL1 target will be a priority for next year. And then possibly, we've touched on some of the northern copper developments, if there's any that are warranted. What about some of the other targets on the project there? GL2 or GL3, I think it's also called Yellow Dog. Are any of those going to see any further exploration, say if there's success into 2027 season?
Yeah, I think part of that, will come from the geophysics, but part of it will come from some recce geology too. GL2 is just right over the ridge, on north of GL1, and that zone that Alex has shown, that's highlighted by the resistivity. We call it variably the Claw Mountain Fault. It's a reverse structure, but this is an extensional system, the gold system. So that it wasn't formed during the reverse faulting, which brings the rocks to the northeast over the rocks to the southwest. So they're quite different rocks over the hill at GL2. There's some scarny looking things, a lot of intrusive rocks, and copper rich too. And you don't see that in GL1 main. So they're quite different systems. I think we need to understand that a little bit better. There's some very nice grabs, some pretty darn nice soil geochem, which you're imaging there. I think it's probably gold you're imaging. So there's some gold with the copper to the northeast of the Claw Mountain Fault. So the Claw Mountain trends northwest, southeast there, kind of, a little bit farther to the south, right where there isn't any geochem shown. So parallel to the GL1 main zone, parallel that trend, that's where the Claw Mountain Fault is, right? So you're sort of separating, one thing from another. And when you talk about the Yellow Dog zone, that's where we did add to some historic geochemistry, and you can see there's some nice gold up there and some nice copper, and that's kind of just to the south of what we're kind of calling Copper King. Not very much soil geochemistry up there, but those drainages that are up and around where Claw and Copper King are labeled up there, those drainages are running very, very high stream sediment geochemistry. I think we have an image of that. Well, there's an image, but there's also was an image in the news release that we had. It kind of makes it a little clearer, I think. But that stream sediment geochemistry is very, very prospective, and we know there's some copper mineralization because there's good grab samples, as that other image with the sort of orangey brown color in the middle of the lower middle part of that of your slide there. Those are all grab samples, so really nice, copper in grabs. It's where is this thing? Where is the system that's driving all this? Where's it all kind of come together in a bigger bigger mineralized zone that has continuity? Because something like that has got to be there driving that. Exactly what it is, we need to get up on the ground, and we're doing the airborne geophysics. That'll give us, hopefully some hints, and then we got to give it a geological context after validating, the stream sediment geochemistry, and then maybe we bring up a crew to hammer it with soil geochem on the target. So it's pretty exciting, and but the exact plan kind of remains to be determined, and follow up to geophysics and an initial look on the ground.
Okay, that's great details for a Golden Lion. And then over at the GL1,
much detail.
Yeah. There's many stones to turn over here, is what I'm gathering.
Yeah.
So at GL1, again, just looking forward, like at what point would you guys consider kicking off an MRE or PEA level study there to get a resource estimate kicked up? Is that something you start sooner than later, or
a little later, quite a bit later than that? We're a long ways out from that.
Okay, so not in 2027's card.
Yeah, we haven't even thought that. Yeah, I got to find it first, and we'll.
Okay,
then we'll worry about it.
All right. Well, I mean, as we've discussed here today, we're focusing really on Golden Lion, but let's roll through the project deck here that you guys have as well. I mean, I've got questions around the snowball target here. So how does Kingfisher's success or failure work into the dimension for approaching this project here in the future?
Wow. You're really jumping over to the old Golden Triangle. You gotta like that. I mean, nice address. The snowball thing. Boy, I had that, staked it a long time ago, and that was one of the original projects, along with Golden Lion and a couple of others that came into EVER.V when we formed it. So, that had some very nice geochemistry. I think originally done by
Rando, wasn't it?
Maybe.
I've got it up here from the 43-101.
Yeah,
What's
I
your
can't
goal
even
more or
remember,
less?
but
Yeah.
yeah, that's the original geochemistry. I know some of the guys that did that, and good guys. And we added a bit to it, so it's got some very nice gold, some nice pathfinders that go with it. But it's a big scree slope partly. And I don't know that the exploration was done. Drilling that we did on it was all that well planned out. So we need to do some follow up on that, and we tried, but it was challenging weather wise when we were doing that, and but some nice gold targets on that, and it's not from what I could tell. And I haven't been on the property too much, but certainly a number of traverses there. It wasn't an obvious porphyry target, but a very nice, gold target. And I think some of the really nicest looking veins remain to be drilled there. We kind of recognized that toward the end of the program, and I got to give credit to a couple of the people that were working on that, Denise Baker and Tyler Punk, and others, of course, but they were involved. And Tyler, I think, outlined some of those veins, and we came close to getting to drill them, but weather kind of shut us down. So those remain. And does it have some more porphyry potential? Possibly. I didn't recognize that obvious in the times I was there, but not out of the realm of possibility. So I know that's what Kingfisher's after for the most part, and it's kind of in their valley, in their wheelhouse, I guess.
Yeah, the property there with the interest for their season here coming up is, I mean, less than 5 kilometers away, right? So yeah, I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure there's going to be a lot more eyes there, and possibly more questions coming at you for Snowball. Is there any
Yeah,
maintenance work to keep it in good standing, or is there any activities at all planned this year for Snowball?
not really. I mean, it's in good standing for quite some time. We got to do a little bit of cleanup work, so we'll zip up there and make sure that gets done.
Okay. And then, let's just roll through the rest here. So the DEM project, is it on the shelf? Is there any news or updates coming from there? And is there any work status for claim management on that this year?
Um, I think we have to take down one drill pad. But no, we're not planning on doing anything else. Alex and I moved that project in, and we've held that one for a long time, and it's in good standing for well into the 2030s. So we don't have to worry about doing any more work to keep it in good standing. I wouldn't say we've mulled through the data set completely yet. So I don't know what comments you might have on that, Alex.
No, I think the DEM property definitely something is still of interest. I mean, it's an interesting property, but at this time, our focus is really going to be on the gold mine. I mean, we might revisit still in the fall, see how things actually make out on the gold mine property, but maybe try something up there. But
And then Holy Cross, the project there, any work status there to update on or work planned this year?
Nothing really planned. Again, that one's in good standing for a long time too. That's a very interesting project. There's a little bit of surface geochemistry gold wise, decent, not amazing, but there's a lot of alteration and sulfide around. And I wouldn't say, we figured it out. There's been some interesting work done on the neighboring property, Copley. How is all this stuff? Where is the jewel box? As as the American Eagle Gold guys like to say, where's the jewel box? A lot of smoke. We didn't have much luck in the one time we drilled it. But again, you look at the rocks and you see some features in the rocks, little breccias, and all the pyrite, and it's like, holy smokes, this looks really good. It just doesn't have the the gold silver to go along with what the rocks look like. So you always kind of wonder, well, where is that that center, if there is one.
And we might have some time in the fall. I mean, that's something we have a little leftover budget. We might go kick some rocks down there. Same thing
Yeah.
as the Dem. They're basically, those properties are good. We can access well into November. So even beyond that, right? So we're still depending on how Golden Lion does and what we get out of there and how the finances are. That's something we may take a look at for sure.
Okay. And then the last project on the roster here, Rockland in Nevada. How does that fit into the portfolio, given the rest are all BC focused? And I was reading there was an option signed in 2021 for a 5-year. Is that rolled over? Like, what's happening with Rockland?
Well, that one's been optioned off to Wolfden, and we're just in discussions about how that's going because they've more or less reached their spend. So ball's kind of in their court, and but we're talking to Ron Little of Wolfden about that. But it's another, again, a very interesting property. It has some drill intercepts, has a historic mine on, it has a mine on it, underground workings up in the upper part. And yeah, very interesting property where the geology and the geochemistry and the geophysics carry you under cover, which, cover can be very thick in Nevada, as many explorationists, have learned to their detriment. But in this case, there's islands of rock that go right out into the valley. So it's not as deep there in the cover, and some very interesting prospects on that one. And but that's we had to option that off. Again, it's it's US dollars. It's expensive to explore there. You can't use flow through, so that's something we're talking to Wolfden about right now.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, that about wraps it up here for the question set and the preseason kickoff I want to touch on. I guess I would finish up here with chances of a site tour if I'm up in the Toodoggone. Any access there that I could develop or come up to site?
Yeah, you just let us know. Yeah, I mean, if you're RVing with the family up the Yamanika Mine Road, then perfect. Bring them all up. But no,
we'll see if we can help you out.
Yeah, you probably won't be taking the family up there, but of course, yeah, like come on up. You just let me know. Give me an hour's notice, and they're all good.
Maybe a week's notice, a week's head up.
Yeah,
we'll try to plan it a little further out. Okay, that's great. Well, Thanks, Charlie. Thanks, Alex, here for the time today. That's EVER.V on the TSX Venture, EVER. Thanks, guys, and best of luck here on the season, and looking forward for the updates as they come.
Sounds good, Nate. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks, Nate. Appreciate it.